Welcome to Question It, the podcast where we challenge the status quo and rethink what we know about wellness and living our best lives. I'm Kevin, your host, guide, and sometimes guinea pig on this journey of exploration, understanding, and growth. In each episode, we'll dive into provocative topics, question long-held beliefs, and explore alternative approaches for meaningful change. If you're ready to step outside your comfort zone and embrace new ideas, you're in the right place. Let's embark on this journey together, questioning, exploring, and experimenting to make life a little easier and happier. Let's question it. What sets Question It apart is our interactive approach. Instead of a one-way exchange with me talking and you listening, we're creating a space for real discussion. In each episode's show notes, I'll provide a link to join me and up to 9 other listeners in a private, guided conversation using the Uchi app. We'll answer up to 10 episode-related questions and engage in meaningful dialogue. Best of all, it's completely free. No sales pitches, no networking, no sharing of contact information, except mine. Just real, asynchronous conversation. The reality is, nothing happens in life if we don't take action. Is innovation possible for everyone, including you? Episode 4, AI. In January of 2022, I published my first book called Innovate the 1%, 7 Areas to Nurture for Success. And in this book, I describe what I've learned over my career about how to innovate more effectively, more prolifically, and have greater success in doing so. And it turned out to be 7 steps, and that's 7 chapters in the book. And I've been wanting to do a video or a podcast episode about summarizing this book, but I've really struggled to get that going. And then I stumbled upon Google's AI tool called Notebook LM, and I thought, wow, this would be a really great way to summarize the entire book for my audience, which is you, of course. So what I did is I actually uploaded my entire book into the Notebook LM website, in my own area, my account, and in just several minutes, the AI tool created a full summary, and that's what this episode is all about. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a little bit different way of doing an episode, and then when you're finished, and if you're interested, please go to the show notes and sign up for this episode's Uchi Tribe, where we can discuss in more detail some of these topics about how to innovate. And this is open to everyone, and it's free, of course. Everyone, young and old. It doesn't matter if you're in middle school or if you're a seasoned professional. I'd love for you to join in this Uchi Tribe, which will not be AI. You will actually be conversing with me and other human beings in the Uchi Tribe. Okay, so I hope you enjoy it. And with that all said, here we go.
Welcome to this deep dive.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one.
Oh, yeah.
This is Innovate the 1% by Kevin R. Strauss.
Mm-hmm.
And he is an engineer by trade turned inventor.
Yeah.
And this is not just a business book.
Yeah.
This guy's got 79 patents
Right.
to his name.
Yeah.
So he is walking the walk when it comes to this stuff. And we're going to unpack his playbook for unlocking some serious innovation.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I really like about his approach is he really emphasizes finding the real problem before you jump into solutions.
Yeah.
And he argues that most of us actually get that backwards.
Right.
We jump into the solution before we've really kind of taken a step back and said, what are we actually trying to solve here?
Yeah, and he starts off chapter 1 with an example in spinal surgery and how these surgeons are having to cut these rods to length, and it's a huge pain point. They've got these complicated cutters that they're using, and they often leave behind jagged edges.
Right.
Which is not exactly ideal when you're working on someone's spine.
No, not at all. And this is where Strauss's kind of perspective, I think, is so valuable, because instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, his colleague actually found a surprisingly simple solution.
Okay.
A plumber's pipe cutter.
Really?
Yeah. It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But it highlights this crucial point that sometimes the most effective solutions are hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for us to connect the dots.
Well, and it made me think of that, saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
You're right.
And so we get so focused on trying to find a solution within our narrow view that we miss sometimes those elegant, simple answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the best part is they didn't just slap a pipe cutter on a surgical tray and call it a day. They actually took that initial spark and then refined it based on feedback from the surgeons to make it even better.
Oh, wow.
So that's a key takeaway right there. Innovation is not a solo sport.
Right.
It thrives on collaboration and iteration.
So think about a time that you were stuck on a problem, maybe hitting your head against the wall. Could it be that you were fixated on the wrong problem all along?
Yeah, absolutely. And this leads us to chapter 2, where Strauss dives into this often overlooked ingredient of innovation, strong relationships.
Okay.
He argues that you can't build anything lasting on a foundation of what he calls quicksand.
And he's not just talking about being office buddies here.
Right.
Like, he gets real about his time at this medical device company called K2M.
Okay.
And how he felt so connected to his work and his colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about feeling so valued and energized that he would often work late into the night.
Wow.
Even sleeping in his car to maximize time with his team.
That's dedication.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it speaks to, I think, the power of psychological safety.
Huge.
Feeling comfortable enough to bounce ideas around, even the bad ones, without fear of judgment.
Yeah. When that trust exists, you're more likely to take creative risks and push boundaries.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Remember how we were saying how he was married to this company?
Right.
He eventually left.
Oh, really?
Because his relationships with higher-ups took a nosedive.
Interesting.
And so it just really highlights how crucial those connections are to fostering that culture of innovation.
It's not just about feeling good, although that's important in its own right. His experience shows how strained relationships can directly impact motivation, creativity, and ultimately the bottom line.
It's a good reminder that we as humans, we are wired for connection.
Yeah.
It's in our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And when those connections are strong, we can achieve extraordinary things individually and collectively.
Absolutely.
But what happens when those connections fray? Well, he actually created an app to address this very issue.
Oh, wow.
It's called Uchi.
Okay.
And it's designed to help teams strengthen their bonds and build trust, even in today's, digital-first world.
Right.
And he's not trying to replace in-person interaction, but it's about finding new ways to cultivate those crucial connections that fuel innovation.
That's great. And get this. This is not just some feel-good app. Strauss, being the meticulous engineer that he is, made sure that Uchi is actually backed by research.
Of course.
Right. He's all about that evidence-based approach, even when it comes to something as seemingly intangible as team dynamics.
Yeah.
So it speaks to his core belief that innovation thrives at the intersection of human connection and rigorous methodology.
I like that.
Speaking of methodology, let's dive into chapter 3, where Strauss drops some truth bombs about expertise.
He says to truly innovate, you need deep, in the trenches, subject matter knowledge.
Yeah.
General skills are great, but they'll only get you so far.
Yeah, and he uses this really sharp analogy to illustrate this point.
Yeah.
Think about surgeons.
Okay.
Surgeons are masters of the operating room, right?
Right.
But they don't design the instruments that they use. They have their zone of genius.
Yeah.
And so do the engineers who are crafting these intricate tools.
It's like asking a world-class chef to go build a restaurant.
Exactly.
Like, they might have impeccable taste, but that doesn't make them, architects and contractors.
Exactly. And that's where someone like Strauss comes in.
Right.
His engineering background allowed him to bridge that gap between the surgical expertise and the innovative design. He could speak both languages, so to speak.
And speaking of languages, he really emphasizes how critical it is to immerse yourself in your field.
Yeah.
He talks about poring over tons of patents, even the ones that are so dry they'd make your eyes water.
This is where the passion comes into play.
Yeah.
When you're truly fascinated by something, you're willing to go the extra mile.
Right.
You're going to delve into those nitty-gritty details that other people are going to be like, this is so boring.
Yeah.
But that's where the real breakthroughs happen.
Yeah, it's not just about being good at something. It's like you got to be obsessed with it.
Right.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
It makes me think about all the times I've gotten sucked into some topic.
Right.
And I'm just glued to it, just soaking up every bit of information.
Exactly. And that brings us to chapter 4, where Strauss gets into this fascinating world of connecting the dots.
Okay.
He talks about how our subconscious minds are these incredible pattern recognition machines, but we have to feed them a rich and varied diet of information.
He called it data hoarding, which I love.
Right.
But it's not just about stuffing random facts in your brain, though, right?
Not at all. It's about being actively curious, observant, and always looking for those unexpected connections. Okay. Strauss talks about how he's constantly observing the world around him, from license plates to how people interact in a coffee shop.
Interesting.
He's feeding his mental database.
I like it.
And here's where it gets really cool.
Okay.
Strauss gives this incredible example in the book.
Okay.
The inspiration for a tiny but crucial design element in K2M's Mesa screw.
Okay.
A screw that's been implanted in over 1 million people, came from a surprising source.
What?
Ready for this?
Yeah.
A hanging plant pot.
You're kidding me. All from a plant pot.
From a plant pot. He was struck by the way that the pot was suspended.
Wow.
And that seemingly random observation led to a $1 billion product line.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
I am starting to think this guy's got some kind of direct line.
Right.
To like the innovation gods or something.
I know.
From now on, I'm looking at everything.
Right.
From my morning toast to the pattern of the clouds.
There you go.
To inspiration.
That's the spirit. It's about shifting your perspective.
Yeah.
Being open to the unexpected and trusting that your subconscious will connect the dots in surprising and often brilliant ways.
Okay. Chapter 5 is like a personal pep talk.
Right.
Strauss tackles these self-imposed limitations that hold so many of us back. He just calls BS on all those I can't statements.
Right.
He's like, as long as something is humanly possible, you can learn it.
And he doesn't shy away from the psychological barriers at play here. He talks about how fear of failure, often rooted in, the fear of judgment from others, can be a major roadblock to innovation.
It's that feeling when you're about to share an idea in a meeting.
Yes.
And you're like, what if it's stupid?
Totally.
Or what if everybody laughs at me?
Right. What if they think I'm incompetent?
We've all been there.
Absolutely. And Strauss digs even deeper, identifying imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
That feeling of being a fraud despite evidence of your accomplishments as a major culprit.
Yeah, it's so common.
It's incredibly common even among highly successful people.
It's like our brain is hardwired to focus on the negative and just play it safe.
Yeah.
Even when it means missing out on incredible opportunities.
Right. And to counteract that negativity bias, Strauss reminds us that every innovator, every trailblazer, started somewhere.
Yeah.
He points to examples like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Sarah Blakely.
Okay.
These are people who did not play it safe. They challenged conventions, they took risks, and ultimately they revolutionized their fields.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that we're capable of so much more than we often give ourselves credit for.
Absolutely.
But here's the real kicker.
Okay.
Strauss himself is a prime example.
Yes.
As someone who did not let fear hold him back.
Exactly. He talks about how his work in the mental health field challenged these long-held beliefs and led to a whole new way of approaching emotional well-being.
That takes guts.
Absolutely.
Okay, get ready for a curveball. Because in Chapter 6, Strauss argues that some of our most brilliant ideas come when we're not actively thinking about the problem.
He's a big advocate for giving your conscious mind a break.
Okay.
Allowing those aha moments to bubble to the surface when you least expect them.
He tells this funny anecdote about nearly falling asleep while working with his colleague.
Oh, wow.
And boom. That's when a key design element for their Pyrenees plate just clicked.
Wow.
It's like the power nap to end all power naps.
Right. And I think it speaks to the power of tapping into our subconscious mind. Yeah. It's like our brains are working on these problems in the background, even when we're not consciously aware of it.
So instead of staring at a blank page or a whiteboard, maybe the best thing we can do is step away. Go for a walk, listen to music, maybe even, dare I say, take a nap.
Precisely. It's about creating the conditions for those aha moments to occur.
Yeah.
Recognizing that inspiration often strikes when we least expect it.
So we've got these aha moments bubbling up. But in Chapter 7, Strauss reminds us that inspiration is a bit like a butterfly.
Okay.
Beautiful, elusive, and you can't make it land on your finger just because you want it to.
Yeah.
He said, we got to strike while the iron is hot. Capture those sparks of brilliance before they disappear.
And he doesn't mean waiting for the perfect moment or overthinking it.
Right.
Strauss is all about taking action.
Okay.
He talks about the importance of prototyping. Getting your hands dirty and experimenting as soon as that idea takes hold.
He tells a really great story about the Serengeti retractor.
Okay.
And this is a surgical tool that was born from a simple hardware store run.
Wow.
And a dose of frustration.
I love that. It's fascinating how a trip for supplies sparked such an innovative solution.
Yeah.
They saw potential in this everyday object,
right.
an automotive funnel, and they weren't afraid to experiment.
Right.
And I think that open-mindedness, that willingness to see possibilities where others just see the mundane is pure gold.
Yeah. Talk about thinking outside the box.
Right.
Or in this case, inside the funnel.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's more than just being playful, though, right?
Absolutely.
Like, there's a method to the madness here.
Right. Remember that deep dive we did into expertise?
Right.
That equips you to look at those familiar things with fresh eyes?
Yeah.
To see the potential for innovation in unexpected places.
And here's the kicker. The final design for the Serengeti retractor involved intentionally breaking the tool.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's what I call counterintuitive thinking.
Right. That's incredible. It might sound crazy.
Yeah.
But this unconventional approach led to a breakthrough in surgical retractor design.
Wow.
It just goes to show that sometimes the most innovative solutions come from challenging our assumptions about how things should be.
So we've journeyed through Strauss's world of innovation.
Yeah.
From finding the right problem to embracing the power of relationships.
Right.
From the importance of deep expertise to the magic of connecting the dots.
Absolutely.
From conquering our inner critics to seizing those fleeting moments of brilliance.
It's a powerful reminder that innovation isn't some mystical gift bestowed upon a select few.
Right.
It's a skill, a mindset, a way of approaching the world with curiosity and courage.
I love that.
And like any skill, it can be cultivated through practice and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
Strauss has given us this treasure trove of tools and strategies.
He has.
That we can all apply, no matter what we do or where our passions lie.
Absolutely.
So my final thought for you is, what is that one thing you've always been curious about?
Yeah.
That idea you've been tossing around in the back of your mind. Maybe it's time to take a page from Strauss's playbook and dive in head first.
I love it.
You never know what incredible breakthroughs might be waiting on the other side.
Thanks for joining me on Question It. Remember, growth happens outside your comfort zone, so keep experimenting and embracing change. If you enjoyed this episode, connect with me in the show notes, leave a 5-star review, and request to join this episode's Uchi tribe. Until next time, peace, love, and connect.